You're sitting across from him at dinner. You ask how his day was. He says, fine. You wait for more. Nothing comes. You feel it. That familiar drop in your chest, that quiet ache of being alone at the same table with the man you love. You have read every article. You know the words: emotionally unavailable, avoidant, stonewalling, maybe even narcissistic. And every one of those frameworks assumes the same thing, that the emotion is inside him, and he is choosing not to give it to you. But what if that is not what is happening? What if the emotion is fully there, running hot through his body right now, and he simply does not have the words for it? Not because he is hiding them, because he was never given them. This is what almost no one tells you. There is a name for this, a clinical name, and once you hear it, every silence he has ever handed you starts to look different. The word is alexithymia. It was coined in 1973 by a psychiatrist named Peter Sifneos at Harvard Medical School. Alexithymia, literally, no words for feelings, a neurological difficulty translating internal emotional experience into external verbal language. For decades, it was studied mostly in patients with severe trauma or specific brain injuries, a rare thing, a pathology, something wrong with the wiring. Sifneos noticed something haunting about these patients. In their dreams, they had emotional responses. Their faces would move, they would sweat, their bodies would react. But when they woke up and were asked what they had felt in the dream, they could not answer. The feeling was fully generated inside them, and then, at the border of language, it disappeared, as if there were a wall between the body and the word. He assumed this was rare. He was wrong. Then, in the 1990s, a psychologist named Ronald Levant, who would later become the president of the American Psychological Association, noticed something no one else was saying out loud. He was watching men in therapy. Not damaged men, not extreme cases, ordinary men. Husbands, fathers, boyfriends who loved their partners and could not describe what they felt, not because they did not feel it, because they had never been trained to name it. He called what he saw normative male alexithymia. Normative, meaning normal, meaning this is the default outcome for boys raised in almost every modern culture. He published the framework in 2006 and expanded it in the Journal of Men's Studies in 2009. And the data still stuns therapists who read it for the first time. Ask a woman to name the emotions she has felt in the past week. On average, she names around 28. Ask a man the same question, he names around 12. Not because his emotional life is less rich, because his emotional vocabulary was systematically shrunk. Here is where it gets stranger. At age 4, boys and girls score almost identically on emotion labeling tests. Boys can name sadness, disappointment, jealousy, tenderness, embarrassment, longing, fear, pride, all of it. By early adolescence, boys' labeling accuracy has dropped sharply. Some studies put the decline at more than a third within a decade. Nothing changed in his brain. His brain still generates the full spectrum. His body still produces the cortisol, the vagal shifts, the muscle tension, the flushed skin, the tightness behind his eyes. What changed is that somewhere between 4 and 12, he was taught, over and over, that naming those feelings out loud was dangerous. A little boy cries at recess. Someone laughs at him. He learns. A little boy tells his dad he is scared. His dad says, "You are okay, buddy." He learns. A little boy is delighted by something soft or pink or delicate. Someone calls him a name. He learns. A little boy hugs another little boy at a birthday party. Someone jokes about it just once, and the room laughs. He learns. A little boy asks his mom if his dad is sad, and she says, "Don't ask him that, honey, just leave him alone." he learns. The lessons are almost never violent. They do not need to be. They are absorbed through 1,000 small corrections delivered by people who love him in the exact age window that his brain is deciding which neural pathways to keep and which to prune. He does not lose the feelings. He loses the words. And after enough years, he loses the neural pathway between the feeling and the word entirely. By the time he sits across from you at dinner, that pathway is atrophied. It is not gone, it is just untrained, like a muscle he was told from age 6 never to lift. So you ask him what he is feeling, and what happens inside him is not what you think. His body knows. His heart rate is up, his stomach is tight, something is happening in there, and it is loud. But when he goes looking for a word, he opens a drawer that mostly has 3 things in it: fine, tired, stressed. That drawer is not a lie. It is not evasion. It is the actual inventory he was left with. Do you see it now? Every time you have asked him what he was feeling, and he said, "I don't know," he was not refusing you. He was telling you the truth. He does not know. Not the way you know. Not with the 28-word precision you can call up in half a second. He is standing at the edge of something enormous, feeling it in his chest and reaching for language that is not there. That is not emotional unavailability. That is a language deficit, and they are treated in completely different ways. This is where it gets uncomfortable, because for years the internet has told you the answer is to demand more, to insist he do the work, to hand him a feelings wheel, to repeat, "But what are you feeling underneath that?" And what you noticed is that when you pushed harder, he did not open up. He went further away. You assumed that was proof he did not care. Levant's research suggests something else entirely. When a man with normative male alexithymia is pressed to produce emotional language he does not have, his cortisol rises. His prefrontal cortex, the part responsible for verbal reasoning, actually goes offline. He becomes less able to speak, not more. You are not pulling him closer. You are watching his system crash in real time. And then he says the thing that breaks your heart: "I just need some space." You hear rejection. He is asking for a reboot. So what actually works? This is where Levant's clinical protocol gets radical. It looks nothing like what you would expect. You do not ask him what he is feeling. You ask him to describe what his body is doing, where the tension is sitting, whether his jaw is tight or his stomach is knotted or his chest feels heavy or hollow. Body sensations, unlike emotion words, were never punished out of him. That pathway is still intact, and once he is naming the sensation, "There is a pressure in my chest, like something is pushing outward," you gently offer a word. Not, "Are you angry?" That is a test. He will fail it. You say, "That sounds like it could be grief, or maybe frustration. Does either of those fit?" You are handing him vocabulary. You are the translator he was never given. Follow-up work on couples who use this kind of protocol shows something extraordinary. Within a matter of weeks, the emotional vocabulary of the male partner expands dramatically, and the female partner reports feeling more emotionally seen than she has in years. Not because he changed who he was, because he was finally given the words he lost at age 9. Here is what almost no one tells you about this. There is a specific grief that comes with realizing this is what has been happening, because it means all those nights you spent lying awake, convinced he was cold, convinced he did not love you enough, convinced there was something wrong with you for needing more. Those nights were built on a translation error. He was in the room with you the whole time. He just did not have the map to tell you where in the room. That grief is real. Let it be real. But then look at what it opens up. The men in Levant's original studies were not therapists' kids. They were construction workers, engineers, veterans, teachers. Men who could not name a single feeling beyond good or bad at intake. Weeks later, one of them, a middle-aged firefighter, said to his wife, "I think what I felt when you cried yesterday was tenderness, and also something like fear, because I did not know if I was allowed to touch you." He had been married to her for almost 20 years. 20 years, and that was the first sentence of its kind he had ever spoken. She wept, not because she was sad, because for the first time, she understood what she had been living next to. You are not too much. You are not asking for something unreasonable. You are asking a man who was linguistically disabled around age 9 to speak a language you were fluent in by 6. And here's the part that most articles will never write. His silence has never meant absence. His "I don't know" has never meant "I don't care." His pulling away when you pushed for words has never meant he did not love you. It has meant this entire time, "I feel it. I feel all of it. I just cannot find where inside me the word lives." Carla McLaren, an emotions researcher who spent decades studying how humans learn and lose emotional language, writes that emotional literacy is not innate, it is transmitted. Girls receive it as a gift from birth. Boys have it taken from them, piece by piece, by the same culture that later blames them for not having it. You cannot love a man out of this. You can only translate with him. And translation, unlike demand, is something he can meet you inside of. So the next time you are sitting across from him at dinner and you ask how his day was and he says, "Fine," try something new. Do not ask what he is feeling. Ask where in his body the day is sitting right now. Ask if it is heavy or bright or tight or empty. Watch what happens when you stop demanding words he was never given and start handing language back. You are not sitting across from an emotionally unavailable man. You are sitting across from a man who has been standing at the edge of his own feelings his whole life, mouth open, and no one ever told him what to call them. You are the first person who might. And the moment you do, the silence you have been trying to break your whole relationship, the silence that made you feel unloved, unseen, unwanted, will not go away because you fought harder. It will go away because he finally has the words to fill it. That is not availability. That is fluency. And it starts with you asking a different question at dinner.